The Horror, with your hostess with the mostest, Jenna Bell, as always. Welcome back. So we are going to be moving on to our next documentary of the week. I had a couple of different ones in mind, but I was actually talking to a young lady, Kelly North McKay, and she was kind of commenting on my first one, the Crystal Lake Memories one, and I kind of recommended this movie, 1984 San Diego McDonald's Massacre, 77 minutes, and I kind of did, I recommended it to her, and I let her know that I would be doing a review on it, hopefully sometime in the near future, and I let her know that there were certain things about this documentary that sort of upset me and sort of angered me a little bit, and I would kind of explain in the video, which I will get to. But yeah, so this documentary, this came out in 2016, directed by Charlie Min. And like I said, it's, it takes place obviously in 1984, San Diego, in a McDonald's, where this guy pretty much went in, pretty much held hostage the entire restaurant and everything, was shooting different people and everything, and for, he was in there, the whole thing happened over 77 minutes. Obviously, a little self-explanatory, but whatever. But, it's a pretty interesting documentary. I know, like, if you go to, like, IMDb and stuff and kind of look at, like, some of the, viewer reviews, it's not a very popular one. Or I shouldn't say it's not a very well-liked one. Like, a lot of people were really kind of, like, had a wide range of complaints about this from, there's really no story development or storytelling or anything. Well, like, I know you need some sense of, like, storytelling in a documentary, but it's a documentary, it's not a damn movie. And other people were saying, like, other critiques, and I kind of see a lot of where these people are coming from, because this is a little bit of what, like, upset me, and I'll elaborate more with my own thoughts. People saying, like, they really didn't like it because the director, Charlie Min, really at some points was trying to insinuate with some of the police officers that he was interviewing, like, well, how come you guys didn't do more? Don't you think you could have done more? Yada, yada, yada. Plus the fact that, I have to give you guys a warning, because this really kind of upset me too. A lot of people were saying, like, there was an excessive amount of footage showing the actual victims, the deceased victims and everything. Even me, like I said, I'll kind of get a little more into all this in a moment, that, I thought that was a little distasteful. I mean, I kind of expected maybe, like, a picture or two or something of, like, some of the victims, but, and like I said, I thought pictures, they actually showed actual film footage and everything, so things like that there was a lot of different, like, common kind of complaints about this. Hey, you know what, I'm not gonna, like, troll that, because like I said, I do agree quite a bit with some of those, and to an extent with some of those, but yeah, let's kind of talk about the footage and stuff. Like I was saying, some of it's, some of the footage, like I said, I kind of expected to see, like, a picture or two or something, or maybe, like, a victim, or, like, seeing, like, some of, like, the wounds and stuff, but there's quite a bit of, like, film footage, archive footage, of them kind of, like, casing the scene and everything, and, like, people who are, like, hunched over, who have been deceased, for a few hours, hunched over in booze, on floors and stuff. It was very uncomfortable. I mean, even, like, I know I watch a lot of horror movies. I know some of you might be like, oh, that really shouldn't bother you, but see, that's the thing. A horror movie is made up, it's fake. This is very much real. There's people's families out there and everything who are, 34 years later, I'm sure it's very difficult for them to, think about this, see this footage. I just thought that was really distasteful for the victims and the families involved. And then also to the aspect with the police. Like I said, I know the director, Charlie Min, was, at certain points kind of like, with some of the cops, like, oh, how come you didn't do this? Or how come it took you so long? How come it took a sniper so long to take him out? We have cases and reports saying, like, from people inside the restaurant, like, oh yeah, they easily could have shot him a lot sooner. They had multiple chances. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wasn't there, obviously. I was, like, when this happened, I was a few months old. I was only an infant. So, I mean, I don't know what the situation was. But, you know, you have to understand, because, I mean, even me at certain points in the movie before he kind of brought up these, like, points and stuff and accusations, I even was kind of like, why didn't they do anything sooner? How come it took them so long? You know, because there was a little bit of that. But you have to also understand that this was in 1984 that this took place. Very kind of different than what it is now. Obviously, we had, like, shootings and stuff before this. Like, I know, like, Kent State and stuff. I mean, there's different ones and everything, but it's nothing like it is today. I hate to say that, where it's like it literally almost every other day we're reading another like shooting and stuff that's happened. There's better protocols that the police and like SWAT teams and everything and snipers, you know, follow now because of previous incidences, just as the San Diego McDonald's massacre and everything. So it's very different. So it's kind of, you know, like I said, there was shootings before this, but there was still yet anything truly set in stone in place of a protocol of what to do in situations like this. So I think people kind of have to understand that. You know, certainly I feel like this director had to kind of understand like the time and everything, and the context and everything, and just understanding that they're, you know, in a situation like this back then, some 34 years ago, you know, they were still a little like, okay, what do we do? Like, a lot of places, a lot of police stations were still like, okay, unsure of how to handle situations like this. So, I mean, little things like that that kind of upset me, you know, of like the director kind of, like I said, accusing the police for not doing something sooner or doing more and everything. I mean, I see where he's coming from. I do, especially too when you're, you know, living in a day and age like this. Especially for someone like me who, you know, like I said, I was so young at the time that I don't even remember about this. You know, maybe a little harder to, like, wrap your head around that and stuff. But, you know, whatever. Something that I do have to give the director credit for that I did enjoy about this, and he even says this, I think later on in, or at least halfway through or later on in the documentary, that he refused to say the gentleman's name, the shooter of this massacre and everything, because he feels like, especially today and everything, with all these shootings and everything, you know, first thing we know, one of the first details is, like, the person's face, the suspect's face. Then we know their name, or vice versa, and it's almost like we glorify the whole situation. You know, we really give a lot of attention to the suspect themselves and everything, and he didn't agree with that. Like, we shouldn't be popularizing these individuals who are doing these attacks. I completely agree on that, and he even followed it up by saying, like, you know, instead of focusing on the people being the shooters, we should focus on the victims, on the families, showing them support, showing them how, you know, this is a tragedy, and you know what, there's unfortunately others who have been through this, and, you know, there's more people who have witnessed this on TV that have got your back and are supporting you. I think that is so true. Like, we need to stop really, you know, making these shooters popular and well known. Like, we need to stop that. So, I'm just saying. But, I mean, little things like that. It's a really, really pretty decent documentary. I feel like you should at least kind of give it a watch. It definitely is not one, at least for me, especially with, like, some of the images and everything, not one that I would watch on a regular basis or anything, but it is definitely an important one, I feel, to kind of watch and see and everything, and just kind of almost compare, like, you know, this massacre compared to, like, today and everything. Like I said, how we have so many, you know, different sort of situations like this always happening. I mean, it needs to stop, but, you know, I'm not even going to get into all that, because I feel like that's a whole nother video unto itself. But no, this is actually a pretty good one to check out. I feel like it's one that kind of will make you think. Like, I actually watched this like a month and a half now ago, and I'm still kind of thinking about it, about this movie and stuff, and just like the different emotions that I have with this with this documentary. I think that's the other thing. I feel like there's quite a few emotions that will, get evoked from you. So it'd be really interesting to hear some of your thoughts and everything on this documentary for those of you who have seen this or eventually will maybe check this documentary out and everything. Let me know what you guys think. But that is our documentary of the week, you guys. I don't know why that was so awkward. I am awkward. Whatever. Don't judge. But till next time, you guys, as always, stay creepy, classy, and a little bit sassy.